Welcome back to a new video. So this was my workout from Monday. I also put my Tuesday workout in this session as well, for the simple fact that the Tuesday was a pretty quick and light session, so it wasn't anything that took a very long time to do, so it would have been a really short video with not much to talk about. The Monday session was kind of crazy. I did everything as I've been doing the last couple sessions, or at least on the heavy days, and I've been kind of enjoying it. I believe this is the day I got up to a 93 muscle snatch. I missed it and then made it. I don't really have a specific number that I necessarily want to get to. If I can do 90 consistently, then I think for the most part that's pretty sufficient. Trying to get more than that, it's more so just for fun. But I suppose, you know, getting stronger is always a good thing. But I don't necessarily think it's like good for technique, or at least, you know, it's not like helping me necessarily with that. I am still trying to think of technical things with that. Mostly with the pull, trying to keep it close and trying to pull with my arms late, if that makes sense. Trying to do that flip as late as I can, so try to get as much speed up to that point where my arms flip as I can. So I suppose, in a sense, it's probably good for that. The power snatching has been pretty interesting as well. It hasn't been really feeling that great, but I've been able to get up close to or in excess of 100 for most of the sessions. This is an exercise I might knock off at some point. But on this one I tried 108, I think twice, and then I kind of made like a full snatch on the third one. Power snatching is just a weird thing. Like, I've done 110 before. I've done a POW with 115, but those were with straps. So I think the straps allowed me to do power snatching a little bit better than I do without. And I'm not really that stressed about improving it, so I'm not desperate to improve it, which I think is one thing why I'm not really, you know, getting, I don't want to say necessarily as much out of them, but I'm not like maxing them out as crazily aggressively as I would like the snatch, as you'll see in the session, as a full snatch. I still think it's a good exercise for me to do, particularly because of the speed. But what you'll see in the second session is what I think is a lot more beneficial for technical development. I think the power snatch for me is good for the speed. It's good for days like this because it just gives me more volume, and it makes me have to be more aggressive, which is good. But on the next day I do some more technical stuff. Here's where I really randomly struggled with 110. It's really annoying because it doesn't feel heavy. It's just slightly out in front, so then I miss it, and it's idiotic. And I do it again on Wednesday, but with 113. And then I get up to a heavier weight and I make it right away. And, you know, not the strongest lockout, but still made it. This is where I need to also make a better adjustment, or also just get better at technique. I missed 122. It was really close behind. It was really frustrating because it was really close to being able to stabilize. And you see my visible frustration there. I'll just leave that in because I was like, felt so close when I did it. On the second one here, just out in front, and I was actually able to make it on the third. My plan was actually to just do one overhead squat if I was able to make this weight. It's not necessarily something I'm programming in, but once I get to like whatever weight is going to be the heaviest I do, I'm going to just try to do an overhead squat, or maybe two in the case here, just for, you know, extra volume. And I find overhead squats after a snatch, even if it's a heavy one, a lot easier. As you saw, I did 122, so kind of chipping away at that. Later in the week, I do 123. I tried to overhead squat it twice. I missed the second overhead squat, but that's, you know, that's going to happen as weights gets heavier. It's kind of funny because my best overhead squat is still 135, which I did after block snatching it from above the knee. My best, like out of the rack, I think might be the same, because overhead squats, not after a snatch, are exponentially more difficult. But as you see here, did some pressing and then some push pressing up to, I believe it was like 117. Push pressing has been slowly getting better. I had a really nice push press later in this week, and I think the overhead pressing has been helping as well. Just kind of like doing it frequently, I guess, is kind of helping me because I'm not doing a lot of volume on some of these days. But I don't know, it's been interesting doing sessions like this because I kind of know like what exercises I'm generally going to do on the heavy days. But if I'm not feeling good, or if like I don't really want to, like on some of the other days, like here, like I'm just doing cleans, I can make adjustments like that if I really want to. I was really hoping to get a 155 double that I missed the other week when I did the heavy clean. I made this first one and didn't feel necessarily great, but you can see there I caught the bounce pretty well, and I actually clarked the second rep here. And kind of my philosophy with cleans and clarking is that if you have any hesitation, you should just clark it. And it seems kind of wrong because you'd be like, you could do it and try it. But the hip injury I had last year, so not this calendar year, but last year in 2022, I did after trying to catch 176. And I was in the bottom of the squat, and the reason that I got hurt, you see there I clocked 165 as well, just didn't have enough energy for it. But the reason I got hurt attempting that weight, and I think it was either 176 or it was like 173. It was something above 170, but I got under the weight, but my stance went out too far. And so in the position that I was in was not one that I ever catch cleans in because I had to get them out wider because the weight was so heavy, and I ended up hurting something in my hip. And it was very annoying to recover from. Because much like my shoulder, there wasn't any, after like, a day or two, there wasn't any sort of like constant pain or whatever. It was just difficulty in certain ranges of motion and having pain, but not like, walking around and have, crazy pain or anything like that. But after that point, I kind of realized that there's no need to be a hero on a max clean. Like, it's good to, I'm of the mindset too now that I need to start doing them more separately than just doing clean and jerks, just so I can get more practice and push up the weights a little bit heavier, as well as doing racks out of the jerk, as you see here, just to get more practice individually with the lifts. But I don't need to max them out, and it's really fun to max them out, and that's the problem with them. It feels really motivating to hit a clean at 170 when you can clean jerk 166. It makes you kind of get delusional, think you can clean jerk it, and hopefully I can one day, but I'm not in that state. But after these jerks here that I did at 150, I did a big hold there too. It's not just something I was planning, just like the overhead squats, but it's something I might add in on some of these heavier clean and jerk attempts, or just jerk attempts, just to hold the weight above my head. And then the squats here, it's just 160, just doing a 3x8. Very mentally difficult, but not really physically difficult. Just kind of just grinding through them, and not that they were moving necessarily very slow or very difficult, but it was certainly at this point in the session, not very fun. What's also very interesting with doing training like this is I'm kind of just training for 2 hours straight, like just not really. Obviously, I'm taking breaks between sets and exercising, but I'm kind of just constantly going at it. And for me, it almost feels better to do it like that. And I feel like I'm just a psychopath. I kind of enjoy these sessions, and you certainly get a feeling of accomplishment when you finish it because of how much stuff you did. But I also think I'm accumulating a decent amount of just volume in general with the various movements, just with how many different things I'm doing. Even with power clean and overhead, that's going to accumulate more volume in general. What I need to do a little better job of is obviously cleaning up the misses and not just maxing out like a buffoon necessarily, but trying to do more stuff to kind of recover more, but also just like hypertrophy stuff. One of the ideas that I'm having is potentially adding in some ab work. Not that I necessarily think that I need to do a ton of it all the time, but just something to do on a session like this where I came out, I didn't necessarily have specific things that I wanted to do. I knew I was going to do some muscle snatching, but it was just going to be pretty light stuff, and I knew I wanted to do pulls. Everything else was just kind of like working on technical stuff. Also found out something very interesting in the session is that no foot power snatching was already, obviously a difficult exercise, and especially for me, it's a difficult one. But adding the no hook component made even 80 kilograms extremely difficult. And you'll probably see, as I miss in the session, if you see the 80s, that I was kind of like smiling after. And it's funny with like overhead presses or lifts that aren't really that important. I'm always like almost happy after I miss them, and it's not because I'm happy that I missed them, but I'm not like discouraged when I don't get them. A lot of times it's because if I just press 90 and then I go to 100 and then it absolutely is not even close, then it's kind of loud because it's not really like a recovery consequence. If I were to do that with a deadlift or a squat, then I'm going to be much more distraught because not only did you not make the lift, but you also have to recover from that. I guess I forgot to edit this out as well, but we're hammering on through. But with the no hook component of this, like I said, 80 was hard, which motivated me to add this exercise in on these days as well, because struggling with 80, not that you want to, but for me to only have to go to 80 kilos and to still be getting really good technical work is something that's really good. Now it's kind of harpers back to kind of the Max Aida and the weightlifting AI type thing, to where they do a lot of no hook, no foot no contact. I don't really like the no contact part in the full lifts. I feel like that just gets my back and arms way too involved and kind of turns everything into a muscle snatch. But the no hook, no foot power is definitely challenging me in kind of a technical way and a speed way. So I think it's something I want to continue to add in for the practical purpose that it prevents me from, going heavy, but also I get some good speed and, kind of bar movement practice with the pull as well. I'm always looking at my left hand because I have on my ring finger on that pad of my hand, I have a callus that is just very annoying. And it's, I don't know if this happens to other people, but most of my calluses, I can manage them. They feel fine. But the left pad on my ring finger is always getting this weird spot that, makes me think that it's going to give a blister or something, which is very annoying because everything else on my hand will feel fine and I'll have that spot. It was interesting in the Wednesday session, so I was kind of dealing with it in this session a little bit, but it wasn't really changing anything. In the next session, I felt it a little bit when I started snatching, and I, trying to do my snatch on the floor without straps. But as I warmed up a little bit, I put tape over my hand or whatever, and that just becomes uncomfortable because it starts to slip. And I just gave up on it, but then it stopped hurting, and I think it's because I got enough chalk into the little, not that there was like a big divot, but there's a little bit because I had to like, I had to get a part out of it out because it was dead skin or whatever. But once I got enough chalk in, it was like it helped cushion it a little bit. It was quite weird because I didn't have any issues the rest of the session, and that was like while I was doing snatching and then did overhead press, power, all the other stuff as well. So it was really interesting, but very encouraged to have an exercise like this. For the clean and jerk stuff on this day, I knew obviously I wasn't going to go heavy or anything, but I wanted to do a power jerk, and because I hate them, and I was like, after doing the no hook power snatching, I was like, I should do an exercise I absolutely abhor because I'm not going to go heavy on it. It's really easy to self-regulate it because I really don't want it to go well. Not literally, but like, I'm not like, oh, I really wish I could do more weight on this day. Like, I'm just going to do whatever I have planned and then not do anything more. And this is where I did it with 100. So the power clean, I think with 70, I did it no hook maybe as well. I might have done no hook with this as well, but it's 100. So it's not a crazy weight for me to do as a power clean. And then did a push jerk instead of, I guess, a power jerk. But I didn't move my feet, so a push jerk. The goal was, between one of the two. And I suck at them both, so it doesn't really matter which one I do. And the split jerk felt really good. Again, it's only 100, but I think exercises and days like this will be good for me just to get technical practice. But because of the variations that I choose, they'll be light enough to where I still have to work hard at them mentally, but I'm not trying to, go super heavy with them. Pulls, on the other hand, is getting the work in. What did I do them at? So this is what, 100, 130, 150, 180. So I did them at 180, and it's a cluster with it. Nothing that's too crazy. I think that I'm going to try to do snatch pulls more frequently and do clean pulls less frequently. There's always that off chance that I just try to ooga booga a max deadlift on any day when I'm doing clean pulls because I have the self-control when it comes to deadlifts as a small child because they're just fun to do. And I do have to kind of strategically, not to flex, but I am good enough at deadlifts that I can't just max it out on a random Tuesday and not be impacted the next day. I do kind of have to be smart about it. Now, I didn't on this day, so I was smart about it, but I think having more snatch pulls in, kind of similar to the power jerks. Like, I like snatch pulls. Like, I don't have an issue with the exercise, but I'm not like, oh, time to see what I can snatch, grip, deadlift, because that exercise is horrendously difficult, and I don't really want to go crazy heavy with it. Even if I did like a heavy, snatch style deadlift, going to 170 or 180 is not going to fatigue me too much. But if I was really trying to get, to like 230, 240 plus, I would be having not a fun time just because the leverages are more difficult. And it's just not as comfortable of a position, of course, because of the snatch grip, but it's just everything about it feels wrong. I don't really know how to explain that, but I just don't like, heavy snatch grip deadlifts, but it's also not really that important for me to do, frankly. But yeah, the 180s felt good. Nothing too crazy with those. 2 productive days of training. And so the Wednesday one, You'll see next probably, well, there's no Thursday training because I didn't train today. One of my rare days off, so the Wednesday will be the next one. And I think I'll just kind of keep this style where, you know, you'll see one of the heavy sessions, and then if I have a light one, like this Tuesday one, then I'll put that on a video just so it's not, a standalone. But still able to train out in the shed, which I was pretty surprised with. I was still planning on going out today if I was going to lift and it was like 30 degrees. And I suppose that's probably a reason why, one of the reasons I didn't really want to do anything, because it just would have felt miserable out there. But when you're not doing like crazy difficult stuff, it's not really that difficult when it's super cold. But 30 is kind of like right on the cusp of like, all right, it just kind of hurts to do literally even pulls at that point. I could do it if I had to, but I don't really have to. I can justify being lazy on this day because I do so much on the previous day. But I do want to do some snatch pulls on Friday, so should be a pretty fun session then. But yeah, if you made this to this point or to any point of any video, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.